Hi everyone, it's me, Skyhawk, also known as Cat, or Mallory if you want to call me by my actual name. It's an early Sunday morning. Well, not really early, but I was out late last night, so I guess you could call it early for me. Um, and I've kind of been out of bed for a little bit, just having a quick breakfast. And I've been thinking, um, I'm noticing a lot around the net, and I notice it too when I speak to other witches and pagan. There seems to be a lot of commercialism, and I think it's important to look at the ethics of magic, at the ethics of um, promoting your skill set and using them to better other people's lives. For example, doing readings for somebody. Certainly, I don't think there is anything wrong with performing a reading for somebody and charging, because if we look back in history, there has always been a history of bartering for skills. And at this point, money is a reasonable offering for skills. Where I see issues is um, people claiming to be more than they are, people who, overcharge for services, especially if they're newer or not certified. There are organizations, at least in Canada and the United States, for certification. For example, for reading the tarot. And I do believe there are other organizations that certify psychics and readers. I'm not discounting anyone's natural gifts when I say that, certification is important. But I think it's key to look at how you market yourself. So, for example, it would be inappropriate, in my opinion, for someone to say, um, "I'm a professional psychic reader," blah 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 blah. Um, you know, I'm the right one. I'm always right. Blah blah blah. I think I don't know. Maybe it's just because I come from a scientific background, and if you don't have the training, you have very little credibility. Um, Again, not just counting anyone's natural gifts, because I myself am not certified at all, but I still do readings for people. On the flip side of that, though, I'm not going to charge you $80 an hour. I'm going to, if you feel like I provided you reasonable service, and that's something you feel like you would like to remunerate me for, that's great. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be with money. I was speaking to a local pagan shop owner about this the other day, and I spoke to her about, it's not just about money, it's about energy transfer and gratitude. So I may do a reading for you, but you may have a service, or you may have a product, or you may have, an interest that you can share with me. And by all means, that's acceptable, because that's energy transfer. And you're sharing your skills for my sharing of mine. For example, the store owner was telling me, she has people in who can't afford readings or who can't afford a healing session, and that's okay. The reason she has to charge money is so she can, you know, pay the bills and feed herself. But she's more than willing to help people figure stuff out. For example, stocking herbs, stocking incense, that sort of thing. Like, if you can work out an alternative, I don't see a problem with it, because bartering skill transfer, energy transfer, is an age old skill, and everybody has something to offer. Whether it be, just a gratitude or transfer of energy, that's great. The other thing I kind of wanted to touch on while I'm on the subject is paying for magical services, paying for ritual services, paying for healing sessions, etc. There is a point where it becomes more of a commercial avenue um, than a spiritual one. For example, someone charging for a Native American ceremony, like a smudge ceremony or a sweat lodge, who A, can't claim heritage or proper training from a Native American medicine man or woman, B, is just, purely out there for their own gain, and C, doesn't understand the actual significance of the ceremony. And as a person who incorporates native aspects into my practice, I would never ever say that, oh, I was trained or I was given, a pipe ceremony. It's not right. It's ethically wrong because you are essentially, stealing someone's culture. And to ask for money for ceremonies that traditionally um, were practiced by trained people who had done years and years of spiritual work, I believe is inappropriate. Now, by all means, if it's an actual authentic native practitioner who, is doing these ceremonies, then yeah, it's okay. It's such a fine line between what's right and what's wrong because there's always, the aspect of money is these days, unfortunately, a necessity. So, while I don't believe in exploiting a traditional culture, I do believe that, money is sort of the thing that we barter with these days. Um, I'm just not 100% sold on the commercialism and the commercialization of native culture. Um, it's just, I find it's not appropriate. I'm not native at all. I'm European, but I don't believe it's an appropriate thing. On that note, working magic for people, working spells, healing, all that stuff. Um, in my belief and opinion, it is not appropriate to do workings for somebody without their permission or without their knowledge. I would never perform a healing spell or any other sort of spell or ritual for someone without their knowledge. This goes against karmic law for me. This goes against ethical law, and in Canada, it is also illegal. It is also illegal to charge to write a spell or to perform a ritual for somebody in Canada. I've just learned this, but I've learned that there are a few groups that have been charged for doing so, criminally charged. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. We can't just go around expecting, someone to come to us and say, hey, I will pay you to do this for me. Or it's inappropriate for someone to come up to you and say, I will give you a quarter or a loonie, $1 for non-Canadian people right there, for performing this ritual for me. It's not appropriate and it's illegal. There are still witchcraft laws in Canada. There are still some in the United States as well. And while paganism is becoming a lot more acceptable, we still have to keep in mind those laws. So even if I were to, ask for a quarter from somebody, can't do it for performing a ritual. If they wanted to, give me homemade jam or something, that'd be great. But it's important to realize the over-commercialism of witchcraft, of paganism, of spirituality is disgusting, as far as I'm concerned, and it has to stop. People charging over $200 a month for a 12-month course, no one can afford that. Yes, you have to be remunerated for your time, but there becomes a point where, the money you're charging isn't just to cover your expenses and to help you be comfortable. It's becoming a commercialized venue where, you're taking advantage of people. I don't believe you should pay for your spirituality. I don't believe that's appropriate, and I never will. This is only my opinion, I should tell you, and I don't expect anybody else to believe me. But I don't believe in paying for spirituality. I don't believe in paying for an initiation certificate. I don't believe in paying for a dedication. I don't believe in paying for someone to write a spell for me, or someone to write a ritual for me, or someone to perform a ritual for me. Unless, of course, it is done with the intention of being purely an energy exchange. Because when you exchange money with someone, you do exchange your energy with them. I'm contradicting myself a lot, but it makes sense in my head, but I don't think it necessarily makes sense to somebody else. What I'm basically trying to say here is be aware of charging money for services legally as well as ethically. and it's important to understand the ethics of working magic for other people. There's certainly no reason why you can't work magic for somebody. With their permission, with their requests, go for it. Just realize what's legal and what is ethically appropriate and what isn't. I think really that's about it. I'd be really curious to see other people's opinions on the commercialization of magic, the commercialization of spirituality, and pagan paths themselves. I'd be curious to see what you guys think. So either comment, provide something, and if you absolutely hate my opinion, that's okay too. It's just the way I feel. It's the way I've been, especially in the past couple of days when I've been really working through my Book of Shadows and looking through YouTube videos at interesting things I'd like to incorporate. I'm really noticing that. So give me a response, and it would be great to hear from you. And once again, I apologize for my appearance. It is morning. I just rolled out of bed. So yeah, thanks again. Cheers.